have this? Of course.
Ooh, risque. Here is a sensual episode of the top 10 favorite and from what I believe are the best performances by some of the greatest actresses in all of cinema.
Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Is that better?
Oh yes, I am starting from 10 and then gender bending into dresses and tuxedos all the way up to number 1. I joke, you know this, but I do not joke about seeing every single film attainable of every artist I cover here, so keep that intact, people. Every list here comes from a soluble, sensational, and seductive accuracy. Happy Pride Month, my friends, and I am quite happy that this episode has been requested quite a number of times, and it was bound to come. No time better than now to talk about one of the most iconic European female actors of cinema, who when she first arrived on the scene in Hollywood, she was fittingly advertised as the woman all women want to see. The exquisite Fräulein herself, Marlene Dietrich. Marie Magdalene Dietrich was born at the beginning of the 20th century in a town called Schöneberg, which has become a district of Berlin over the years, from a well-to-do family with great finances. Even though she grew up without a father, she became very fascinated with music and poetry, and even knew how to play the violin, playing for the orchestra in concerts. But a wrist injury stopped that dream from prevailing. However, a chorus girl for vaudeville revues in Berlin, she would venture to. And it would not be long where she would meet her future husband, an assistant director named Rudolf Sieber, but not long to begin her quite small but provocative and impactful career in film. Marlene Dietrich is a name that many classic film lovers, if not all, should know and remember, for she not only was one of the great box office draws for her evocative presence and seductive yet meaningful portrayals, but she also was one of the grand members and founders of what she called the Sewing Circle. What is the Sewing Circle, you may ask? I'm so glad you asked. Just the underground name of the queer community of the golden age of Hollywood, where many actresses of gay and bisexual heart and soul could come together on occasion and share their hearts. And gossip, of course. Now, this wasn't like a weekly meeting every Sunday after church with tea and crumpets, literally sewing. No. Just a euphemism of the queer age of classic Hollywood, which included the likes of, say, Greta Garbo, Tallulah Bankhead, even Katharine Hepburn. For this month being Pride Month, folks, we want to celebrate the queer community. And Marlene Dietrich, though somewhat conservative in her views of queerness and feminism, which you can experience and hear for yourself in the great Oscar-nominated documentary Marlene, directed by the Oscar-winning actor Maximilian Schell, she still has such a valuable space within the community. Even beyond that, it is amazing how much of an impact she had made during the height of World War II, having fought against the Nazis with all her might and blood, performing endlessly at USO shows, being one of the first in driving the donation of war bonds. Everything. Even though we are really talking about her film performances, I believe it is always important to really understand the power and value of the person, which fuels their performances, which you will see in how difficult it was to rate her performances, how much of an impact Marlene Dietrich made in the people of the US, of Germany, but the entire world. So get your tuxedos on, light those cigarettes, and find your light as we talk about the top 10 best performances by one of cinema's beautiful yet complicated heroes, Marlene Dietrich. Oh God, starting at number 10, we have Orson Welles' Touch of Evil.
Anyway, you're sure looking good.
You a mess, honey.
Yeah.
I know, it pains me already to place this film noir classic only at number 10, my God. Because you must know, folks, how much I love this film in general, in all of its versions. But it's Marlene's insouciant and lovingly mysterious and somewhat campy performance, a role that was written specifically for Marlene since it wasn't in the source material of Badge of Evil. Oh, when I do a top 10 of Mr. Orson Welles, I will surely share more on that story of how this masterwork came to be. But when we look at Marlene's gripping portrayal, who has less than 10 minutes of screen time, we hang on every word, every action. It's amazing how the execs didn't know Marlene was even in the film until they saw the rushes. And Peter Bogdanovich, God bless him, he tells that story best when he says,
the studio is now watching the dailies and they say, wait a minute, isn't that Marlene Dietrich? What's she doing in the picture?
So the execs had to pay her more when Marlene apparently said, if you don't put my name on the picture, that is all. If you put my name on the picture, talk to my agent. It's surely one of those guest supporting performances that surely lived longer than expected because of her power, especially those scenes with Orson, whom you see how deep of a connection their characters have. Makes sense since Marlene always loved Orson, and indeed thought he was a genius. Spoilers, I love that ending when we get her final line.
He was some kind of a man. What does it matter what you say about people?
Number 9, Destry rides again.
I can see now how you cleaned up Tombstone. You can start right here. And don't forget the corners.
Oh, the classic Western comedy with the oddest pairing you would imagine of Miss Marlene and Jimmy Star. That's fascinating. But it lovingly works in a role that really sincerely looks like it inspired the likeness of Madeline Kahn's Lily von Stupp in Blazing Saddles. This very much revived Dietrich's career after a string of flops, deeming her along with Katharine Hepburn box office poison. Paulette Goddard was aimed to play the role, but Dietrich was summoned at the right time. But Dietrich didn't want to take on the role, for it was a Western, and just not her style. However, her lover, Erich Maria Remarque, and Joseph von Sternberg convinced her to do it, saying, I made you into a goddess. Now show them you have feet of clay. Whatever that means. But also, the solid decision of Marlene taking the role was how she could appeal to more Americans and heighten her goal to warn America of the Nazi Party. At the end of the day, her performance is so fun. It's fantastic. She gave everything to this role, and the chemistry between she and Jimmy is so sweet. Makes all the sense in the world, too, since apparently Jimmy and Marlene had an affair during the making, and allegedly, Marlene got pregnant and had an abortion without telling Stewart. It's pretty wild. The greatest gem out of this film is by far the cat fight between Marlene and Una here. When you see these two legends go at it with their unchoreographed, nasty fighting, you are blown away by Marlene's tenacity.
Used to play one of them.
Number 8, The Blue Angel. Now this might be a shocker considering how iconic to Marlene fans and cinephiles this film is, being the major film that broke Marlene out into the magical celluloid of German and American cinema, thus being the first of 7 altogether collaborations between she and brilliant German Jewish director Joseph von Sternberg. She plays, of course, Lola, a showgirl who steals the attention of a well-respected professor, not, played by Emil Jannings, who is so straight-laced that he wants to catch the boys he teaches in the act of watching Lola in such a seedy establishment. But yes, in the midst of it, he becomes so fixated on her that he falls in passionate love for her. Ooh, the way Marlene delivers that cackle when he proposes marriage to her.
Ich will Sie heiraten.
Ja.
It's so cruel, yet satisfying at the same time. However, she goes along with the professor's proposal, almost with a Captain Save-A-Ho mentality. And the descent into madness, the professor progresses. I love how Marlene didn't even care if she even got the role to begin with when she auditioned for it, for she honestly thought she wouldn't even get it in the first place. Sternberg asked for a naughty song to be sung at the audition, and as Sternberg told it, every actress came in with the look of desperation in their eyes, yearning for the role. But not Marlene. Not only did she not have any desperation, she had no naughty song, let alone even a song prepared. And it was that carelessness and even insecure confidence Sternberg saw in Marlene. And that's what you see on the screen. And I dare say the German version is the only way to experience the film and her performance, for it's always best to experience the film's natural setting in its original language, right? This was the film that started it all for Marlene, expanding her singing resume considering how minimal her range really was. The composer Friedrich Holländer had to retool the music to fit her own voice, which comes off very natural here. Number 7. Dishonored. The third collaboration between Dietrich and Sternberg, which at times, man, I absolutely want much higher, considering how scarily brilliant and how sexually calculated Marlene's performance is in this, playing Marie, an Austrian lady of the night who has nothing to lose.
I'm not afraid of life, although I'm not afraid of death either.
Yep, so she is recruited by the Austrian Secret Service to spy on one of their colonels who may be a traitor to the Russians who are attempting a big strike. Dietrich is so damn captivating as Agent X-27, who works every which way to get the job done, even though she feels way over her head. But we learn through the actions how brilliant she really is at her own cat and mouse game. Even with her own dear cat, Blackie, that she kept once filming Wrapped here. Her chemistry with Victor McLaglen is fine, but nothing spectacular. I mean, come on, it's hard to find a leading man as equal as Marlene. I love how she represents such feminism here. Every time we get to look into her eyes, we see the stakes and we see the strength that she embodied, which makes her ending that more powerful. When, spoiler, she's about to be executed, and during that pause, when the soldier refuses to kill her, she brings out that lipstick, for she chooses to die as a woman. It's a great touch by Sternberg, and then, yeah, maybe Dietrich didn't know how to fall after being shot, but then again, how can you bring Marlene down? You really can't in the long run. Number 6, The Devil is a Woman.
You're not going to play with me anymore.
This is superb! He threatens me! What right have you to tell me what to do? Are you my father? No! Are you my husband? No!
Oh, I know this may be surprising. Some critics, artists, and fans alike rate her performance and film a little too low. And honestly, again, I wish this was much higher. For this last famed collaboration between Marlene and director Josef von Sternberg still has a lot of powerful scenes, thanks to transparent power that Marlene gave to the character of Concha Perez, a true Spanish femme fatale and cigarette factory worker who uses and abuses men like no other, causing both men in question, specifically Don Pascual and Antonio, played by Lionel Atwill and Cesar Romero, being left to suffer in agony as discovering, well, that her Concha has no intention in satisfying any man's real desires. This film adaptation, based on the book and play, has been rated by some as the coldest film Sternberg had made. And frankly, I believe that's why I love this film. It's beyond the Hollywood expectation when it comes to male lead and femme fatale, who may look for a change. But geez, we know that will not happen. Dietrich again is campy with a capital C here, and that brings out the strength in her performance, being so larger than life in this role that you see an energy that we haven't seen too often at this point of 1935 in her. The film was not met with utter praise and was urged by Spain to be taken out of circulation, for it insulted the Spanish military's image in their mind. So Paramount Pictures did take it off, but von Sternberg kept a print, as did Dietrich, and the film was found again to greater appreciation and criticism over the years. Marlene has even said over and over that even though this last hurrah for she and Sternberg, Marlene thought this was her best performance and her favorite film she ever did, period. Number 5, A Foreign Affair. Absolutely and rightfully regarded as one of writer-director Billy Wilder's most underrated films. It shows Marlene in very much a challenging role as Erika von Schlutau, a cafe torch singer who is also an ex-Nazi mistress, having potentially intimate relationships with the likes of Goebbels and maybe even Hitler himself. All the while, the captain of the U.S. Army, John Lund, is recruited to investigate her by the likes of an American congresswoman, Phoebe, played by Jean Arthur, which starts a whole love triangle, believe it or not. And believe it or not, folks, this is a comedy. I mean, it's Billy Wilder. Would you guess any differently? Marlene is brilliant in this role. Ugh, how I could even rate her performance much higher even so with this. Because seeing Marlene play such a complex character is so challenging, considering how much of a fighter against the Nazis Marlene was during the war. Marlene obviously didn't want to play it, but Wilder being Wilder, ever the persistent, finally convinced her that it would definitely put her back in the limelight, for her star was fading on the silver screen at this point, even if she did all this work defending the US. It also helped that her salary was gigantic as well. The jealousy that Jean Arthur was possessed by drove her mad, fearing Wilder favored more shots of Marlene versus Jean. And while Marlene didn't think much of Jean Arthur, she certainly didn't care about how many shots of herself. For Marlene grew to love the filmmaking process by this point, especially this film, for she was working with a fellow European with heart and brilliance, Billy Wilder. It's a classic Marlene Dietrich performance with singing, romance, and yet poignant moments that marks it for many as their personal favorite of hers. Number 4, Shanghai Express.
If you wait here a few minutes, you can lead him back to the train blind.
You're insane. He's a British officer. The Chinese government will have your head for it.
It's certainly difficult to not raise this classic even higher, considering how vibrant and haunting Marlene is in her 4th collab with Sternberg, and honestly, for most, their greatest collab. If you count out Devil as a Woman and The Blue Angel, that is. As a film, holy shiza. It is top to bottom amazing with how it's shot, how dark it is, but in my opinion, it would not be as strong a visual pleasure if we did not have Marlene to photograph here. She dominates every single frame as Shanghai Lily, another lady of the Chinese night, who's on board of the express train to Shanghai during the heat of the Chinese Civil War with a handful of characters, including Eugene Ballot. We love that guy.
What a country. Let's have a drink.
But is suddenly halted by a Chinese rebel army, and they are taken prisoner, along with Anna May Wong. Finally, a Chinese-American actress portraying this kind of role. Seeing Anna and Marlene here together is phenomenal, for they are the kind of artists that control the screen with just one look. And it has been rumored for years that they had a luscious affair while making the film, but no details have ever been confirmed. However, I totally believe it. You just see how they move with each other in this film. It casts a spell on you, just like Marlene does here. Like here in the train car. How slow and cursed she moves, leading into that amazing shot of her looking up into the heavens. Ugh, brilliant cinematography. Actually allegedly lit by Sternberg himself, rather than the credited DP Lee Garmus, who won the Oscar for cinematography for this. Crazy! But that image of Marlene is too iconic that even our queen, Freddie Mercury, wanted to pay homage to it for that image in Bohemian Rhapsody. Freddie stating that this was one of his favorite films. And why shouldn't it be? For we see how Marlene mastered how her image came across for a film and story. A story this dynamic, and yet still bring her character's arc to grounded life with a sense of heightened magic. This was the most financially successful film of Sternberg and Dietrich's, and remains not only one of the best films to have not won Best Picture the year it was nominated, but one of Marlene's most iconic, even inspiring Madonna, to channel Marlene for making the less than below par Shanghai Surprise. Surprise, surprise. Number 3, Morocco.
Your husband?
Husband? I never found a man good enough for that.
The second collaboration between Marlene and Sternberg that was actually the first American glimpse at the power of Marlene before The Blue Angel was released. You guessed it. The classic film that features Marlene in that iconic tuxedo, retrieving that rose and giving that woman a sweet smooch on the lips. which apparently was added by Marlene herself. This whole scene, which goes to show, in my opinion, how her love for women was very much a sexually powerful one. Yes, it is our classic tale of an American legionnaire, Gary Cooper, falling for a sensual cabaret singer, but the legionnaire's womanizing as well as harsh realities of foreign and political life of Morocco at the time seemed to challenge them both. To most, this is Marlene and Nuremberg at their best, and you know what? I cannot argue with that. Still, in the midst of being lovers, Marlene is photographed beautifully and fulfills that painful journey of a lonely lady of the night who may have found real love. In the novel, her character is much darker, but of course, in order to compromise, the character and ending was watered down and changed. But what did not change was that powerful image of Marlene in that tux, breaking that barrier of masculinity in women with fashion and seductive prowess. The LGBTQIA plus community take that image of Marlene locking lips with that woman, let alone in her tux, as a strong symbol of pride that the studio at the time surely wanted to cut it. But Marlene was too feisty and strong-willed of an artist to let that happen. For it certainly was a brilliant move and choice on just the character using and knowing sex very well, bending the rules about sex, lived experience with gender and culture identity, which makes her character even more connected and remembered today. For Marlene's work, she earned her only Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, which is really a crime, but it certainly put her on the map of cinematic respect, not just at the time of 1930, but here today in the new millennium. Number 2, Judgment at Nuremberg.
Is that what you think we are? Do you think we knew of those things? Do you think we wanted to murder women and children? Do you believe that? Do you?
I couldn't deny it, folks, even at number 2. This is not a placement for the film itself, as much as I absolutely love this film. All of Marlene Dietrich's limited screen time in here is too impactful for words. Of course, centered on the Nuremberg trials of judges and prosecutors post-World War II for their crimes against humanity during the Nazi occupation, Marlene plays the widow Berthold, wife of a German army general who was executed based on the historical Malmedy incident post-Battle of the Bulge, and plays an observing eye to the trials, along with befriending Chief Judge Dan Haywood, played just majestically by Spencer Tracy, who is overseeing the trial. Out of a cast of major heavy hitters, all giving just career best performances with lowered salaries because the subject matter was too important, Marlene is one of those diamonds in this rough and heart-wrenching drama that you do wish she had more scenes. Her role is equally important as all the rest in the courtroom, for she has that outside perspective from the German eye, believing in her heart that the German people had no idea what was happening with the Jews during the war, even though her character did not support Hitler. Marlene, oh goodness, had painful trouble filming those scenes. Like, according to Maria, her daughter, vomit-inducing, for it was too challenging for her to say this dialogue of a character that she in her soul couldn't believe as a German. Knowing what Marlene herself was fighting against, how could she empathize with a woman like this? And apparently after enough counseling with Spencer Tracy and her daughter Maria, she represented her own mother in that role. Majority of her scenes are with Spencer, whom she adored, and every scene they have together, it just lights your heart on fire. For you want to believe in this simple relationship of friendship and respect for each other, these different cultures. But it's always hard when you're having to take in how this person is defending what they can about their apparent blind eyes during the Nazi government role specifically. Marlene didn't like looking at herself more so in this role, particularly because of plastic surgery she got before filming, but her performance is lauded as a treasure in acting because of her bravery and how she had to really step in the real actor's shoes for her character to impact you.
I hate it with every fiber of my being. I hated every American I've ever known. But one can't live with hate. I know that.
Oh, Chanel, my darling, here are some honorable mentions for you. The Flame of New Orleans, which, yes, is nothing too spectacular, considering how much of a flop this picture was in its humble year of 1941. The first and only picture Marlene did with director René Clair, whom nobody on set liked, and nobody in the audience really liked this film, which was met with a deeper criticism considering it was Marlene's next big project in a Hollywood picture after the success of Destry Rides Again. Marlene didn't give a flying beignet about this film, also considering how much she disliked her co-star, Bruce Cabot, and how she wasn't even focused during filming, being frighteningly concerned about the Second World War raging on. But I think it is honorable for the fact that Marlene does do a ridiculous satire on herself here, which, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's fun. Golden Earrings, a little war comedy that blossoms with romance between Marlene and Ray Milland of all actors. Set during World War II, with Marlene portraying a believable gypsy who assists Milland's English officer in retrieving a poisonous gas formula from an evil professor. It's obvious Marlene and Ray Milland have zero chemistry, since they both didn't like each other while making this film. But this showcases Marlene almost at one of her best method acting approaches, with researching how gypsies live and behave in Paris, camping out with them for weeks, even with Marlene learning how to play the zither, which seen in this film, it's great. Stage fright. Oh yes, the only time Marlene had collaborated with the master of suspense, Mr. Alfred Hitchcock, which altogether isn't such an amazing entry in Hitchcock's filmography. However, 'tis a valiant effort with dear Marlene playing a mysterious yet always glamorous suspect in a murder of her husband after her lover has been the main suspect for quite some time, being helped by the unglamorous yet still really well put together Jane Wyman. Marlene apparently had a heated affair with Michael Wilding, who played Inspector Wilfred, but that's not the juiciest thing about her performance here, for it shines and glimmers every time she sings La Vie en Rose on camera. Thankfully, it was because of how well she was lit, purposely controlled by Marlene herself, which is fantastic. It's amazing how much Hitch let Marlene get away with some control here. Blonde Venus, which at the time of its release of 1932, just now entering the Hays Code crackdowns slowly, it was written off by some critics as another extension of Morocco. The same old stuff of great gender-bending dress from Marlene, who still looks fabulous in this. I mean, look at her. But this one has a Cary Grant. The fifth collab between Marlene and Sternberg also ended up being written off by both Sternberg and Marlene, for the script filled with prostitution was watered down and censored, and the script was actually co-written by Marlene. This would have been a great opportunity to recognize the mighty pen of Marlene if it hadn't been cut to death. Marlene and Sternberg even threatened to walk off the picture because of how edited it was, but the studio of course threatened back with a lawsuit if they walked. Still, we have a tremendous tropical and heated number with Marlene's great appearance out of the gorilla suit, which would obviously be tributed in Joel Schumacher's take of Batman and Robin. You remember that scene with Poison Ivy in that suit? See, Batman and Robin had more classic Hollywood hits than you thought. The Scarlet Empress, the sixth collab between Marlene and Sternberg, and notably, the infamous box office failure which begun the end of their partnership in film. Today, the film is regarded as a masterwork, and I agree wholeheartedly. It was this close of being in the top 10 for how extravagant it is. My God, being an epic biopic on the rise of Catherine the Great, the reigning empress of Russia in the late 1700s. It's more so always credited as a Sternberg film more so, with style and historical inaccuracies taken for dramatic liberties. But don't forget the power that Marlene possessed, portraying an overruling empress who, like in many of Sternberg's films, has to fight and pull her power in a male-dominated world, forgetting the hilarious myth that women ruin men, but rather win at the end of the day. Marlene's own daughter Maria even plays a younger Catherine in the beginning, and with a runtime of less than 2 hours, we are glad to see Marlene showcase more muscle, all the while the relationship between she and Sternberg was deeply straining. In retrospect, yes, we cannot think of great classic actor-director partnerships without mentioning the inspirational union of Joseph von Sternberg and Marlene Dietrich. Number 1, Witness for the Prosecution.
Damn you! Damn you! Leave her alone! Damn you!
Oh, I hope you're not saying that to me, for you know for sure this was Marlene Dietrich's utterly finest hour, helmed again for the second and final time by her friend, Billy Wilder. I'm going to get into some major spoilers for this film, particularly, folks. I mean, I have to. If you've seen it, you know. But I'm positive most of you have seen this classic anyway, which I remember this being the very first film I ever saw of Marlene Dietrich. Again, with an all-star cast, ruled by a brilliant Charles Laughton, who defends Leonard, played greatly by Tyrone Power, but it's a tough case. And the help of Leonard's cold and brutal wife, Christine, played by Dietrich, isn't helping at all. Marlene agreed to take the role if Wilder was directing, and it's a partnership I wish I saw more of, honestly.
Leonard has been arrested and charged with murder. Is that it?
Yes.
I knew he would be. I told him so.
Wilder said Marlene sunk herself in the role of Christine, and it's clear to see how. I mean, with language provided by the likes of Agatha Christie and Wilder, she had a ball, especially knowing how the film makes so many references to Morocco and the Blue Angel all throughout the film.
I've got kisses and kisses galore.
Even with the context of where Christine goes by the very end. My goodness, spoiler is here when we find out that Marlene doubled as both Christine and the mysterious and deformed Cockney woman. That is incredible.
Wanna kiss me, ducky? Wanna kiss me, ducky?
Her Cockney accent was actually assisted by the great Noel Coward, as well as Laughton and Elsa Lanchester. And I mean, it's not perfect, but it's damn good for an artist who mostly spoke with a strong underbelly of German all her life. Between the twists and turns, Marlene completely dominates this role like never before, where we and Marlene thought for sure she would be nominated for an Oscar for her performance. But alas, because Wilder thought her nomination would spoil the ending, she only received a measly Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress. Honest to God, a nomination she deserved for her channeled, complex, cold, calculated, and three-dimensionally crazed portrayal as a wife who just loved her husband so unconditionally.
Let them try me for perjury, or an accessory, or...
Ready?
Or better yet...
Nope. Way too many spoilers. Even though Billy Wilder directed her in her best performance, in my opinion, we certainly cannot talk about Marlene Dietrich, again, without talking about Joseph von Sternberg, for he brought out the best in Marlene Dietrich. But Marlene carried the bestest out of herself through all the years. Even after her film career had dwindled, she kept performing all over the world, in concerts, even employing a young Burt Bacharach as her songwriter / pianist / conductor. She had her own Vegas show, as well as her own one-woman show on Broadway, An Evening with Marlene Dietrich, which earned her a special Tony Award. It was certainly hard when she returned to Berlin to perform in those shows, for her own country felt betrayed by her, having sided with the Allies during the war, with some signs even saying, "Marlene, go home." But Marlene certainly was a loyalist to her country and fought for it against evil, even losing contact with her own sister Elizabeth, that many forgot she even had. Marlene kept that secret of the existence of her sister, for she lived in fear that the Nazis, with their power, would find and dispatch her sister. She later reconnected with her and once again gave back to her own country. For even on her own tombstone, it read, "I am, thank God, a Berliner." She earned the Medal of Freedom in 1947 and has always sustained a level of respect and admiration that many artists couldn't even touch. Hence why Madonna always wanted to be like her. She has had the biopic in Germany made of her in 2000, which I have seen, and it's respectfully not very good. But I'm interested to see what Ryan Murphy has up his sleeve with portraying Marlene Dietrich post her film career with all of her one-woman shows, with Jessica Lange playing Marlene Dietrich. That'll be interesting. She didn't care about normalities, Marlene. She cared about image, fashion, Dior being a personal favorite, glam, like any star, but she had balls. The affairs, oh yes, the affairs were aplenty and a-boomin'. Of all genders, she was beautiful and alluring. But more so, Marlene Dietrich was a cinematic and historical legend.
Why don't you go home?
Oof, I'm exhausted now. But tell me, my dear friends, Marlene Dietrich, do you agree with my picks? What are your favorite performances by this absolute queen? Please share in those comments as always. You know I always love hearing your thoughts. If you like this, please click like, subscribe, and stay tuned for many more top 10s and reviews to come. You get first dibs and priority when you sign up on Patreon, just for a small price of like a cup of coffee a month. It's totally worth it, my friends. But thank you all so very much for watching and supporting as always. And my friends, never be afraid to show your true colors.